to the 4th edition of the Women in Live Music Weekly Webinar. With each passing week, my hair goes a little bit more grey and a little bit more unruly. We'll see how I look in another 4 weeks' time, I guess. I might have to be turning the camera off. For those who don't know who we are, we're a European non-profit organisation that was founded at the beginning of 2018 because women only make up a small percentage of the music industry, and we estimate between 5 and 10%. We believe in diversity, and the music industry is a place for everyone. So we started this organisation to create a positive community and share our knowledge, skills and opportunities, which is basically what we're doing today. Despite being called Women in Live Music, we do not exclude anyone from attending our workshops or our webinars. So yeah, this is welcome to everyone, and we support all our male colleagues and friends out there as well. A little bit of housekeeping, well, it's not really housekeeping, it's just if you have any questions, put them in the chat and I will read them out. I hope we get lots of questions today because for those of you who don't know me, I'm a sound engineer, not a lighting engineer, even though I know a little bit about lights. So I'm hoping the more lighting inclined among you will have some more in-depth, more difficult questions than maybe I have lined up. So I'd like to introduce Annie, who's going to be speaking today all about her career as a lighting engineer and how she got to where she is today. So Annie, thank you for joining this webinar.
Well, thank you very much for being part of this. I'm very excited about it. Never done it before. Well, like this, actually, to be honest.
First time for everything, and it might not be the last. So yeah, the first question I want to ask you is, where are you based? And a little bit about your story, how you got to where you are today.
Well, first, I'm based in Copenhagen, Denmark. Originally from Aarhus, the main country, the second largest city in Denmark. And it began years ago when I was a volunteer at a venue in Aarhus called Vauxhall. I started out like any other, like being in the bar, the door, wardrobe, etc. But I've never been much of a bar type. I don't like being on that side of the bar, I prefer the other side. And then I started noticing what happened on stage and the people who was working with the stage, what they were doing, etc. And I remember our chief engineer who was taking care of all the lights in the venue, started noticing what he was doing, looked kind of fun, and asked, can I join that instead of being in the bar? And he said, yeah. And we just started. I didn't know back then what it was going to be. And all of a sudden, I became very interested in lights, and especially in the colors, how you can have fun with them, how you can actually paint a concert. That was very interesting. And then I just started doing more and be part of a venue in Copenhagen, and then it just took off. Literally started out as on venues doing lights for artists, live music, and got an offer from TV and theater, and I said yes. And 20 years later, it's my living. I'm doing it professionally, and I love it.
So you started out in your venue doing a lot of different things, I suppose, as a lot of us do. What was it about lights that really drew you in, as opposed to, say, wardrobe or sound or stage management?
I like that you can paint a picture, if it makes sense. That you can actually colors has also an effect on your mind, on your how you see a concert, how you see a painting, whatever, how you see daily life. I mean, if you go outside, it is a sunny weather or it's a gray, it's all about colors. And I found that very interesting, that I could actually create some sort of a room for music and be part of the music, and maybe even lift it or take it down or be part of the whatever it is the music is on stage. Very magical you touch something in people without them knowing. I kind of like that.
Yeah, that's a really beautiful analogy, actually. Yeah, that's really nice. So what are some of the artists you've worked for in your career so far?
A lot. Okay, I'm just basically almost, I think I've been, in some way or another, I've been taught of basically every artist in Denmark in one way or another. Even from just putting the lights up till actually being behind the board. Right now I do lights for a Danish band called Bersærk, Livløs, Redwood Hill, you name it. A few international artists like CarBomb from the US, when it makes sense, and when they can afford me, because I'm in Europe, they're in the US, so when it makes sense. Also depends on a lot of issues. If Denmark is not a big country, and that you have to have, it's difficult to live from only doing artists. It's very difficult in Denmark because of small country, a small budget, not that many bands, but a lot of technicians. So I also do TV and theater on the side. So, but right now, the active ones are Bersærk, Livløs, Redwood Hill, and I probably forgot a lot, but.
So there's quite a few of those bands, or all of them, are metal bands. Is that right?
Hard rock metal bands ish, yeah.
Okay. Is there like a reason why you're working with those artists? Have you been like, I don't know what the word is, like shoehorned into that you are like a rock/metal lighting designer, or is it just you kind of get to know management who manage these bands, and that's how you kind of end up in that scene?
I think it kind of both. I listen to metal myself. I like the energy, I like the power of it, what you can do to it. Also depends on the genre, of course. It's there's a huge light differences between doing a death metal band versus a doom band or whatever. I'm more into Black Death because I can have fun with the room, with the painting. All respect to thrash metal bands is also fun, but I've also done pop music and rock music. I'm not very good to hip hop, to be honest. But right now I do a lot of metal bands because I also listen to metal, which is definitely an advantage to do. You have to like, it's a good thing to like the music, of course, because then you also understand it with all due respect. But I also do, I mean, if you come to, I'm also part of venues, which mean that sometimes you are in front of a band you might not know, and in a genre you might not know much of, but I like the challenge.
Yeah, I just thought about hip hop. You mentioned it, and I can't really explain like how you light a hip hop show. Like, how is that so different to pop, for example?
Pop music is more like hip hop. There's usually like 2 or 3 hip hop artists on stage. They run around. There's a lot. It's a talking music, if you can say that, in my opinion. Where music and where pop music, it's more like vocal and music, and you have a song, and then you create pictures, you create rooms with that. Hip hop is whatever. There's a lot of energy on stage, and the rapper or the hip hop artist is extremely onto his or her audience. So it's a different technique, in my opinion, than pop music, jazz, classical music, metal music. All genres have different ways on how to do lights, and with all due respect, I find hip hop maybe a little bit too easy to do.
Okay, I respect that. That's cool.
Not that hip hop music is bad. It's just I like a challenge.
I totally understand you.
I'm probably gonna get bashed for that. But.
No, if it's any consolation, I hate doing hip hop shows as well, for different reasons. But yeah, what skills do you think it's good to have as a lighting designer?
I'm sorry.
What skills do you think it's good to have as a lighting designer?
Rhythm. You know how to count to 4. I'm sorry, but rhythm. Understanding rhythm is very, very, in my opinion, very, very, very important, that you actually know how to listen to music. When I do a live show, one of my most important tools are the drummer and the bass player, because those are the rhythm section. So you have to be able to listen to those in particular. Normally when you go to a concert, you hear the big picture and you enjoy the mix from the sound engineer. But when you do lights, you need to focus on the rhythm section. Of course, you need to have an eye on the singer and the guitar player when he goes out to do an awesome solo, of course. But music understanding is, in my opinion, very, very important, and that you can count to 4, of course. And also, curiosity is very important, and that you're not afraid of trying something new. That you're not afraid. It's a tough world out there. No, I mean, so basically, rhythm skills is, after my opinion, very important.
Okay.
If you do like music.
Yeah, I never thought about that, but you're totally right. Yeah. So, how do you prepare yourself for a gig or a tour? Is there any stuff you need to do before you get into the venue?
Yeah, if it's a band I know, and I know I'm going to do that tour, I need a set list. The sooner the better, so I can, so I know the right which song comes when, so I don't do 3 blue ones in a row or whatever. And basically, if it's possible, that we have a meeting prior to the tour or the venue or the show, so we can order anything. In particular, we need to figure out if they have a floor production, which means that they're going to have extra fixtures, lamps with them to create our own look. So basically, how long the set is, what kind of numbers they're going to play, and in what particular flow, bottom line. And if there are anything specific they want to create or say or whatever.
Okay, so you have quite a lot of discussion with the artist beforehand, before the show, about, you know, what kind of states you want.
Well, as much as possible. If we know we're going on a tour, of course you can always change the set list. But and an artist always, when he or she makes his or hers the music, they always have a kind of idea of what they want to say, and it's my job to create that idea, and then sometimes we need to have that discussion on how we do that. I have bands who don't want any front light. I have bands who don't like strobe. I have bands who don't like particular colors or whatever it is, and then we find out how to create their signature on stage.
Great, you just reminded me of something. I remember I was at a metal festival this one time, and there were loads of bands playing, and the band I was looking after were, I think, second to headliner, and every band before, it was a metal festival, right? The LD was lighting them in pink, and I had to go and say, please don't put any pink on stage, because it was like a doom metal band. Oh. So what do you need to take care of between shows, if anything? Is say you're on a tour and you've just finished your show in one venue and you're on your bus and you're going to the next one. Is there anything you need to do, or do you just chill out?
I check out the next venue. No venue are the same. All venues in the world are different. Venue A may have these kind of fixtures and a number of them, but the next venue may have something else. and I need to be sure what they have and what they don't have. And if we have a floor production, do they have the power for it? Do you have the room? How big is the stage, etc., etc.? What bottom line? So I try to do that already prior to the tour, but sometimes things happen. But basically, I'm checking out the next venue to make sure that everything is going smooth.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever done a tour where you were for the support and not the headlining artist?
Oh yeah.
Do you find that there's a lot of discussion you need to have with the headliners, LD, about what you can and can't use?
Depends on who it is. Some headliners, LD, is very good to work with. Some are not, depending on a lot of issues. Basically, he or she who's doing the headliner is the boss, and I'm just gonna take whatever I can do. If I only can use half of it, that's how it goes. But then I just have to prep everything I can. If that's the thing. Sometimes when you can only use half of it, or you can't use this or that. You can't have a floor production on it, depending on how big or small the tour is. So you just have to fit in.
Cool. That's great. Do you have any important tools that you always bring to any job?
Paper, pen, a marker.
Old school.
That's the most important tool. And tape to write on. Extra adapters for DMX. You never know what you come to. So always be prepared. Adapters in all kinds of things, so you don't, so you can get connection. We have when a console, you have sometimes the small adapters because either it's 3 or 4 pin, 3 or 5 pin. I always have adapters so I can switch. I have a small toolbox with all kinds of weird stuff in it. Tape, markers, papers, Post-it. I love Post-its. Gloves. I use gloves a lot because I don't want to just protecting my hands because, you know. Ear protection, of course. I like to hear what people say when I'm 80. That's basically it. Good shoes, very good. You walk a lot when you go on tour.
It's true, you do. Is there any, do you have a favorite desk and why?
I like Chamsys because it's small and very efficient. It's very, you can actually have it as a hand-in on the flight. I like it because it's easy, and compared to, I'm sorry, an Avolite, I don't have to use a lot of clicks to get where I am. It's easy to program when you're on tour, and even a small one like an MQ40 or MQ70, you can have it in tour bus and prep. So you can actually sit on the tour bus and prep. And they have a lot of cool stuff so you can prep beforehand, and they even have an app so you can actually do your focusing on your own. You can actually have your iPhone app and focus. Of course, you can also do that on a Grandamont, but I like the Chamsys because it's quick, it's easy, it's for me, and it's quick to program if you are in a hurry.
Okay, and do you have your own desk, or do you just hire or use it in the house?
I don't have my own.
Do you have any favorite fixtures and why?
Oh, it depends on what I'm doing. If I do, I like the conventional light source 4, which is a profile. I think it gives a very good light when you are, if you're going to do a front. I like the products from Modern Professionals, of course. Really, GLP also makes some great ones as well. There's a lot of fun stuff out there. But it depends on what I'm going to use it for. Because you can't, if you're doing theater or television or live music, you have to, there you have 3 different methods to do light. Even if you doing music, you also have to consider what you're doing. Is it a singer-songwriter who's by the piano, or is it a heavy metal band? You need to also consider how you're doing your lights there. But I prefer a wash and a profile on my stage, and depending on, of course, how big the venue or the stage is. But I like the modern professional products very much.
Okay, that's a great answer. So moving away from tech a little bit, when you were starting out, did you have a mentor or someone to give you advice when you just started?
I was very lucky because I think I was one of a few ladies in Denmark who started doing lights. So I basically had all the big ones I could ask in Denmark. I had the mentor, of course, at Vauxhall, who I could ask anything. And he also started to teach me very simple things like, this is a lamp, it do this, and you have to, if you have to replace the bulb, you do this. Some very low-key, he started with this. When I started doing lights on my own, I had some others I could ask for advice, inspiration and everything. Especially 2, Christian Bunde or Kasper Christiansen. I got asked for all kinds of questions, both from how do you do that, how do you solve this problem, whatever. And then I started looking out on the international stage on how they do lights and how they lit up whatever it is they're gonna lit up. So right now my heroes from back then are definitely different from the ones I look at now.
Okay.
And I can definitely recommend Nico Rayon. He's a French guy. He used to do Gojira. Check him out. He's very good.
Okay, I will. How did you get into the touring aspect of lighting design?
I think it happened by accident. Someone asked me, and I said yes, that could be fun. Bottom line, I didn't seek it. I didn't look for it. I was doing lights for a Danish pop artist, Ida Kåre, years ago, and she was doing a small tour in Denmark. Asked me if I want to join. Yeah, okay. That was very, very interesting, and I learned a lot from that tour because it was my first one.
Great. Another question now is, do you have a favorite aspect of the show, i.e. like initial designing, programming, operating?
Do you have a what?
Like a favorite aspect. So like the favorite thing of a show. So it could be programming before the show.
I love programming a show when I actually have the time for it. When I do my own bands, I love the programming because I have their music in my ears and I'm basically in my own bubble. I love that process when I'm starting to figure out how to paint the show and how to make, and I love that process. Is actually one of my favorites. And then the secondary is, of course, see if it works on stage throughout the live concert. But I love the designing part where I'm thinking about how to make this. Is this going to be red, and how do we do it, and everything. So that's one of my favorites. I have another favorite, which is nothing to do with design. When I'm done with the show, I always stand like 1 or 2 minutes behind in FOA in front of house and watch people go away to see I love it's so fulfilling to see a guy come away, walk out to the bar with a huge smile on his face, probably all sweaty and everything, and I can see that he had a great time. I love that. I just find that fun to actually be in front of house, just watch people walk away, and that was good, because everyone knows if you've been to a great concert, you have this aura around you.
Yeah, you're so right. Yeah. It kind of ties into someone's question. Let me just find it. So Taika asked what program that you use to draw lights and present lighting designs to artists.
I don't have Visivuk. I wish, but it's very expensive, which is a program where you, but sometimes I, depending on who it's for, I've created my own homemade thing where I have actually drawn the lamps and the fixtures, and I put it on a piece of paper. And if they're gonna say, I've always send it as a PDF file. But it's you can download from the internet how they've been drawn. This is a Mac Aura, and I've been stealing them from all over the internet, so I don't have to draw it all the time. So I basically just copy paste it to a page. It works, and it doesn't cost a thing.
Okay, so is that something you'd recommend for people just starting out, beginners maybe?
If you haven't done it before, start drawing yourself, and have a look at the internet how the fixtures look, because an aura or a moving head looks like this, a stroke lamp look like this, and get the signs and start drawing by yourself. And when you get more familiar, you can actually get an app where you can do it. So I have it on my phone, and you can get all kinds, but it's a PDF app where you can integrate these small paintings.
Okay.
Something like PDF Expert, and then I use something called Concept, so I actually make them talk together, and then I can make a PDF file.
Okay, cool. Joanna's asked if you have any recommendations on how someone could be learning about lights and developing the skills at home without a console and actual physical lighting.
I reckon the person has either a laptop or something. There is a lot of online programs out there where you can actually start looking. There is a list where you can sign up for all kinds of stuff. I mean, learn the Grandemay basics, learn the Chamsys basics, and I will recommend the person to download both the Grandemay and the Chamsys, and even Avolites if you want, and have a look around to see what console do I find good to work with, and then start downloading, and then start having fun, because you can get it online as an online PC, and then start working with it. You don't need a console or actual fixtures in your room, and there is a huge list I can put up later where you can actually sign up for that. It's free, by the way.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll post that link. I've also just in the chat, I've just put a link to the Grandemay lighting,
for example, and there's a lot of YouTube tutorials you can watch and have a look and see what works for you. There's a Grandemay University, which is great, and all the YouTubes are for free, so you can just sign up and look at them whenever you feel like it, and just take it easy and watch it a few times if you want. I will recommend always get the basics 100%, because if you have the basics, it's gonna take a while to I mean, if you have the basics, it's gonna be much easier. I mean, bottom line.
Yeah. Do you think it's important to have some knowledge about power as well?
I mean, yeah, because so you don't blow anything up. Yes, that's very important. You need to know what you do. You need to know how many fixtures can I put on one, so I don't overdo it or it's gonna shut down or whatever. That's very important. You need to also know some basic power. And if I find someone who works with it and ask him a ton of questions. What is a phase? How many phases are there in one cable? What's the differences between a 32 and a 64 power cable, etc., etc., etc.
Great. So I'm just going to look at some of these questions that we've got. So Evelina is asking if you normally pre-program your show, and if you bring your own desk. I think we covered that, didn't we? That you said you hide in a desk and that you do pre-program.
If possible, I would prefer to pre-program it. That will definitely be the best way, because then you are prepared. So you don't, sometimes depending on what venue you're on and depends on how the schedule is, you may not have that much time to program. So the ideal world will be that you pre-program your desk. But sometimes you cannot get a desk with you, and you have to use the venues. If I don't have my own desk with me, I check out what kind of console they have, and I start thinking on what I will program when I get there, because sometimes I don't have that much time.
Okay. Katie is asking, as a photographer, I always wonder whether the lighting for a show/tour is ever designed around photographers having the first 3 songs in the pit. Is the lighting ever deliberately brighter for the first 3 songs so that the photographers can get good pictures before returning it to something more atmospheric?
I design my lights for the audience, for the fans, not for the photographers, I'm sorry. But if I know there are photographers there, I will give them, of course, a helping hand with maybe even a front tip, or turn the front a little bit up or whatever. But normally I don't, I'm sorry, because this is for the audience, this is for the people who paid the tickets. But if I know and they come up and ask me nicely, I will, of course, give them a helping hand. But depending on the artist, if it's an artist where I don't have any front, I can't help them, because this is the artist versus the audience. I'm doing this for but if a photographer comes up and asks me nicely, I will of course help him or her.
Great. I think that's totally fair, to be honest. Sophia is asking, from an artist's perspective, how can we communicate our wishes for lights in the most efficient way, especially when you're working with in-house tech for a one-off show and you don't have that much time?
If you're an artist and you come to a venue and you don't have your own LD, that's how I hear it. Make a manual. Very simple. Go up to, first find out, of course, if there is one who can do the lights. There are venues where there only will be a sound guy or girl, but if there is someone, make a quick manual. Like we're going to play 8 songs. Don't make it too difficult. Just say we want blue, there, green, red. He's gonna talk between these 2 songs, put some front on or whatever. We don't like yellow. Make it very simple, and that's gonna help. And write in big letters, because the front of house is dark when you do that. When you of course doing your show. So make it easy. Just make some basic colors. That's my advice.
Yeah, and maybe offer you a cup of coffee at the same time.
Exactly. The bottom line is, the house tech is not obliged to do your show. He's obliged to do a show.
Yeah, totally true. I'm going to look at some more questions. So, lots of people saying thanks and agreeing. What are your thoughts about that? Sorry, just looking down. You're just talking amongst yourselves. Okay. Okay, Evelina's asking, if you had the choice, would you prefer to work only for bands, or do you appreciate all the different works you do in TV and theatre and everything else that you do?
I love doing everything because I like the different methods I'm going to use. I love doing live music more than anything. I like the energy. I like the whatever there is in a venue, but also I like doing theatre. I also like doing television because I get inspired from everything. I use a lot of my theatre techniques in music, and vice versa, because when you're working with art, you need to find your own signature. Bottom line, everyone can do lights, everyone can do sound, but they cannot do that particular light or that particular sound. So I get inspired by television. I get inspired by theater, especially by theater, because that's a completely different lights you do there, and I find that very interesting to incorporate that into live music, which I find very funny. And so in the ideal world, I mean, I would like to do more music, but I find television and theater very funny. So yes, I will do all three.
Okay. Just a little message from Maria here. She's asking what your thoughts are about borrowing and maybe stealing ideas from other LDs. Is there any politics in that?
It's not I get inspired by the people I admire, but I don't steal the exact thing. A good LD can make it his or her own. Is like, I mean, nobody likes a copycat, but we all like if I inspired someone. And I've been seeing shows where I've been thinking, oh my God, that's a great trick. Oh, that looked awesome. But then I make it my own. I may change it or do a different gobo on it, or make it come from a different fixture, or depending on. But nobody likes a copycat, but we all will be honored if we inspired someone.
Great. Do you have any places that you look for inspiration for designs, maybe YouTube or other places?
I go to a lot of concerts, both to get inspired, and I'm sorry, to also not what to do. Very important. But so basically I go to a lot of concerts, and you can find me in the back looking like this, very, very focused, maybe with a beer in my hand. But if I'm there alone, I'm there to check out the lights. I'm there to check out the LD and get inspired. I see a lot of huge TV shows, like Eurovision contest, for example. Not that I enjoy the music, but it's very great to see how they do it. I see a lot of concerts also on YouTube, both they hear my favorite artists and even artists I might not hear, but to see how they do it. And bottom line, and I try as much as get my hands on fixtures and try them off if it's possible, and all kinds of stuff.
Great answer.
And to be honest, I also get a lot of inspiration from nature, because if you take a walk in the morning and you take a walk in the evening, the lights are two different things, which is very interesting.
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah. Olga is asking if there's a particular way to learn about power that is applicable to lighting. So she's been looking on the internet for a while and can only find overall electrical courses. Is there any specific electronics and lighting courses, and it's quite difficult maybe to answer.
As for power only, or?
Yeah, so I suppose courses on power that apply to lights rather than just power in general.
I asked a guy who to tell me about it. I remember going to. I was like, oh. I called someone. I said, "Are you going to? Do you have a show in the near time where you have a lot of power going on?" And he said, "Yes, I do. Can I come like an hour before and you can tell me what exactly is going on with the dimmers, with the why is that important? Because if I tell you that we have these and that rule or this trick, I will forget it." So I actually called a friend, a co-worker, and basically asked me, "Do you have the time to tell me this before?" And we were on a venue, and I literally had the cable in my hand. I was looking at the dimmer, and he took me around, and that's how I got it. So if my advice is to, if you want to figure out how it goes, call your, if you have a colleague who is on a venue, ask him to give you a tour. And why is the power for this dimmer up, and why is it different from this dimmer? Ask him or her to actually show you, because if you have it hands-on, it's way better.
Okay, I think in the UK we have something called a BS 7909, which is like a course on temporary electrical systems for the entertainment industry. I don't know if you have something similar in Denmark. I haven't actually done that course, so I'm not sure what it's about, but it seems, at least in the UK, that's what a lot of lighting engineers do to kind of learn about power. So maybe I'll post that in the
That's a good idea. I don't think we have in Denmark. I just think we find someone who's an electrician and ask him to tell me.
Okay.
I don't, as far as I know, I don't think we have. I might be wrong, but I don't think we have.
Okay, that's good to know. Let's see if we got any more questions. Okay, I'm going to ask some more questions, a little bit more about Denmark, actually. So what's the scene like in Copenhagen? I know you said that there's not many people. Does that make it quite competitive?
Yeah. Well, we have quite some venues here. We have quite a few, both major ones and etc. Right now it's difficult to explain due to the corona thing. Our business is down. So, but we have a lot of venues from 200 to 1,500 people. We have, of course, the local stadium and arena. But there's a lot of technicians here in Denmark, both sound, light, stage, you name it. So there's a lot of people out there, and we have light university. You can actually take education in lights and sound and management and everything. So we have a school called Next, where you can take an event education and then can specialize in sound, light, whatever. And that's very popular. But you can also take it completely for only theater, where you get to the Royal Stage. So, but there's a lot of technicians here, and so.
Does it kind of mean that you maybe have to have what we call sharp elbows here? Because it's quite competitive. Do you have to really kind of earn your gig, as it were?
You have to earn your gig. You have to be good, of course, or you won't get it. There's a lot of people doing it because it's fun, and that's what it sounds like fun to do lights or sound. But professionals who's actually making a living out of it is not there are quite a few, but there are a lot of people who do it as a volunteer job or just to be part of a venue, etc. And they may be around for 1 or 2 or 3 years, but that is a little bit that's the competition, because then I don't get hired in for that club because they have a volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fun to be part of a club. Then okay, I'll do the lights. You know. With all due respect, you can also see the result of it. But
yeah, we have the same problem in the UK a little bit. There's a lot of people who will do it for free. So yeah, why would you pay someone if you don't have to pay someone, I guess, sadly. Do you have any advice for someone who is interested in getting into lighting?
Yeah, find a venue if it's live music you want. Be a volunteer and try out. Don't be afraid to try whatever. Be curious. See if you can find a band to tour with, or do the shows if they come local. But I started by being a volunteer at a venue, and that's how I started it. And I was a little bit sharp on the elbows, so I could get some more bands and get to other venues and etc. But with all due respect, it's only the good ones who will be in the business after 5 or 10 years. It's a tough world.
If you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
I really don't know.
Or maybe if you could give maybe, I don't know, is there like any things that you wish you'd learnt earlier?
Yeah, I would have. I love doing the designing right now. I will definitely have. I've started programming earlier.
Okay.
Definitely, yeah. Started programming earlier. That would have been, if I could do it again, I will start being a better programmer earlier.
Cool. It's always good to prepare, I guess, and be prepared for everything. Do you have like a most challenging gig you can recall, like a story from your career, something that I don't know, was really hard and you overcome it?
Yeah, Mykur playing the support for Marilyn Manson in Aarhus. That was not fun.
That was definitely
not fun. That was really first and foremost, the guy who do Marilyn Manson. That sounds wrong. You know what I mean. That is, I mentioned him before. He's Nico Rayon, who usually do Gojira. He's doing the lights for Marilyn Manson now. And Mykur was playing the support for Marilyn Manson, and everything went wrong. I didn't have the programming time I thought I had, and the venue people who were supposed to help me when I was on, they went to do the supper. Mm-hmm. So that was not fun, and I was like, oh my god, the Marilyn Manson LD just saw my crap. I'm done.
Oh no.
So he texted me later and said it was okay, but still.
Well, you're still here and you're still designing shows, so it can't have gone that badly.
But the master was behind the buttons after, and I died a little.
So you've never had a show where you've just done a full blackout mid-song or anything like that by mistake?
Yeah, I've done all that kinds of. I remember doing a theater, being at a theater, and all of a sudden the power went on from all my moving heads, and particularly where the power went was very important because they had to follow an actor going all the way towards the stage, and it was completely black. I was like, oops. No. And thank God, 5 minutes later, there was a break, so I went up and figured out what happened. So that was not fun. And it was a children's play, so there was a theater full packed with kids, and they were like starting shouting, "Where's the actor? Where's the actor?" And I was like, ugh. And I had to improvise and just put some full lights on stage, and it didn't look good.
Oh dear. Well, I mean, I think the kind of saving grace with lights is that sometimes when it goes wrong, I guess it's not as obvious as when sound goes wrong, if you can still see things. I once had a lighting designer who passed out and left the gig in an ambulance mid-show once when I was doing sound. And
in a church?
Yeah, no, it wasn't in a church. It was, I don't know what it was in. But but I didn't know how to do lights, so I just pressed a load of buttons until it went pink, and it stayed pink for the whole show. But not one person said anything about it. So, so I think maybe you can get away with it going wrong a little bit more on lights sometimes.
I also have another story from Brutal Assault a few years ago. Mykur again. We were headlining, and it has been extremely hot during that day. Literally hot. And the first few songs into the set, the power just stopped. No power. And we're like, what is going on? And it turns out the thing that makes the power was overheated or something. So there was a technician who came running. I have never seen a guy run so fast from the stage to the front of house saying, you can only use this and this and this. Okay, fine, whatever, we do. 5 minutes later, there's a fire starting.
Oh my God.
And we're like, what the? And it's in a huge castle outside in the middle of nowhere. And fire trucks comes in, and it's like, we were just like, fine. Then they're gonna say we're gonna stop the show. And me and the sound guy were just like, and I think we had like 15 minutes of the show, that's it. And everything just went chaos. So that's a little bit.
Yeah, I guess it's not your fault though when something like that happens.
Thank God. But I wasn't allowed to use the strobe lights because they were using too much power for the one to follow. So,
Right, so there's a power guy there somewhere who probably got sacked.
Probably.
Kind of following on from that, do you think there's like a good way to kind of handle these situations when something goes wrong? How do you deal with it? Like, how do you not just go crazy or burst into tears?
Experience, I'm sorry. Panicking is definitely not the answer. I think throughout the years, I have just learned to, just figure out what's wrong. 20 years ago, I would have probably panicked and run around without a head and didn't know what to do. But I figured out very quickly the easiest way to solve a problem is to take a deep breath and just focus on the problem. But you can only do it after a while. It takes some experience to know. That's why it's very important to have the basics, so you know how to, what happened, where is it,
Okay, yeah, that's good.
It will come in time, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. I've got a question here from Ingen. I hope I pronounced your name right. In Denmark, do you have any good forums/meeting places for lighting techs and designers to exchange ideas and experience? Any annual conferences or other meeting places? So how do you stay connected to your colleagues?
We have some annual meetings where all companies and technicians and everything meet at a huge venue, and you sign up for it, like a tech messe, a huge arrangement where both providers, designers, technicians, sound, light, media comes and get together, and they can walk around and talk and see the new equipment, whatever. And we all have a tendency to come there to say hello, what's going on with you now, and stuff. And I think it's one or two times a year it happens. And the event is on Facebook. I think we were supposed to have one this spring. Unfortunately, it got cancelled. But I think a few years ago, it was in a major venue called Copenhagen. And last time it was at something called Tab It, also a huge venue in Copenhagen. So bottom line, there is an event once or twice a year you can sign up for, and we all get together.
Okay. Does it have a name?
Tech Messe.
Okay.
So, I think there is some groups in Facebook in Denmark where you can find it, like Light, Sound, and AV. There's a different forums on Facebook where you can see where the event comes up, and now it's time to get together.
And do you go to any international trade shows like Frankfurt, Pro Light and Sound, or ISC in Amsterdam?
No.
Okay.
But I want to.
Fair enough.
But I would definitely love to, but it's quite expensive. Meaning hotel, travel, 4 days off, etc., etc. So, and I will be doing it as an independent, so I have to pay it all by myself. So, for now, no. And the last 2 years, I haven't been able to, because I either had a tour or something came up.
Okay, cool.
But I'll definitely recommend people to do that, or even just go to a concert and go up and have a chat with the LD or whatever.
Great. Yeah, I mean, we can all be learning, I guess, especially in this kind of difficult time we're in at the moment. Do you have any learning materials you can recommend for people who are stuck in their houses? Maybe we already covered this, but is there any websites or YouTube channels or anything that you recommend?
Pandaemonium have a university where you can actually go from, where you can start with the basics, which is an online thing. I'm doing it because so I don't get bored. Chamsys have where you can sign up and start nice and easy, get to know what to do and how to do it. Both Chamsys and Pandaemonium and Avolites have their own Facebook pages where they're gonna mention when they have a webinar or a chat with a huge designer or a programmer. That's a very good idea to hook up with them. I do it myself when I have the time. Mm-hmm. And there's a huge list, which I will find later, where you can actually sign up for free for basic tutorials, etc. Find them on YouTube, go to the manufacturer's page, etc. Right now they're free.
Okay, yeah, that link would be really good. We'll post it when we post this video as well. For anyone watching post-webinar, the link should be at the bottom of this post. So that kind of brings us up to time. I'm going to finish this webinar just by asking a little bit more of a personal question, which is, how are you handling this COVID-19 crisis out there? Are you doing okay? Do you have a backup plan? How are you feeling about it?
I don't have a backup plan, unfortunately. I have a chemistry degree, but I'm not using it.
Now is the time.
Apparently, I can make drugs. No, just kidding.
Find the cure.
Find the cure. No, I've actually signed up for all kinds of tutorials to keep me going, to keep me fresh. Maybe there's something I didn't notice, or you can always learn. And the grant one of them I got from a Danish light and sound provider. There were also some learning about colors in it and everything. So that could be fun. So basically, I'm learning from scratch again, just to keep me going. And thank God, one of the venues I'm on have been having streaming concerts, which I've been doing. Just did one this Saturday with a Danish band called Den Syvende Søn, the Seventh Son, and no reference to Iron Maiden. So that has been keeping me going, which has been great. Actually, we've done 4 or 5 streaming concerts so far, and it has been fantastic. So bottom line is that I've been signing up even for Grandma Basic. Could be. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's great that you're keeping busy and training and teaching yourself in this time when, there's not really much else to do, I guess.
And walking the dog a lot.
Oh yeah, exercise and vitamin D is also very important.
Yeah.
Rather than staring at a screen all day. Okay, so thank you so much, Annie, for taking part in this webinar. And thank you everyone who's joined and asked questions. We're doing these every week, as you may or may not know. Next week, we are having something slightly different. We've got 2 panelists, and we're going to be discussing festival organisation, which is going to be super interesting. A lot of discussion on sustainability. And then the week after, we have tour management, how to advance your tour with Kirsty Hopper. So I hope that I will see some of you next week and the week after. But for now, thanks for